afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. Today's episode, Goodbye, Ross Perot. Goodbye, Ross Perot, though I never knew you at all. That kind of sucks. Ross. My first dude I ever voted for president, and I voted for him twice. So I used to have a bumper sticker on the back of my car that said, "Don't blame me, I voted Perot." Of course, people still blame me because I voted Perot. I feel like my picture is a little too small here. I should probably make it a little bit bigger. Don't have any guests in today thus far, so I know you're enjoying the beautiful scenery behind me, but hey, I have an idea. I have a great idea. Why don't I go to YouTube? Oops, that's not YouTube, is it? Why don't I go to YouTube, your channel, and see who's here? See who's here and who wants to chat. There wasn't much to talk about in yesterday's chat, I guess, because there were no comments. Well, there were. Okay, that's not fair. There were 3 comments, but they weren't managed moderators. I just want to pop out my chat. What's going on? Why can't I pop out my chat? What is happening here? All right, let me refresh that. For some reason, YouTube does not want to let me pop out my chat. There we go. That was very strange. Strange days indeed. Most peculiar, mama. Let's say hello, Aaron Alfecci, the man of the hour. Aaron Alfecci is still taking time out of his schedule to come visit us on Cross Examinations. How you doing, Aaron? Hope you've had a wonderful past 24 hours being the artist of the latest and greatest, hottest new comic book on Indiegogo, Jawbreakers, God King. I don't know who's texting me. I'm gonna ignore it. What's up, John Chadester, Thunderbird, Lady Celtic Moon, Mike McCollum, Muerta. Hey, what's up, guys? Got notified right on. Linkovich Chomsky. You might have gotten notified because this hasn't. The title and the description have nothing to do with faith or Christianity or anything. It's just Goodbye, Ross Perot, and he's probably trending. Linkovich says he finally died, huh? Oh, it's terrible. He's 89 years old. 89 years young. Ross Perot. Cupsidon WK. Go party time. Hello, fella geeksters. Mistletoad? What's that sucking sound? Old school. Mistletoad is as old as I am, apparently, or older. Sailor Moon, what's up? And Dennis Peruch, rest in peace, Ross Perot. Very much so. Sad to hear, but that's not the only bit of news in the world today. So we will, while we will be discussing that, where did I put Chrome Hangout? Bing. Ooh, I need to move that up. Oops, Chrome Hangout. There we go. We'll get into that, but not just yet. Let's see. There were a couple of comments for yesterday's free speech win for the marriage in the UK. Marriage in the UK. Not My Monkey, Not My Circus says, what, no comments? 2 hours. And then Not My Monkey, Not My Circus says, Edwin is the silver fox. I'm just a fox. And then, once again, Not My Monkey says, okay, I have watched the entire stream. I feel Elliot needs a little support. I'm relying on you guys to provide it. Just my intuition, but I have experience with such things. We give Elliot as much support as we can. Elliot is a dear friend and a stalwart companion. Elliot's a good guy, and yeah, we do like to do as much for him as possible. So, goodbye, Ross Perot. It seemed to me you lived your life like a billionaire with too much money. No, Ross Perot was my I always joke that I always wanted, I've been voting. I wanted my crazy billionaire president, and I finally got one in Donald Trump because I voted for Ross Perot twice. My first 2 elections when I was a wee lad back in San Jose. Elliot is good people indeed. Last Crusader says Ross Perot, target of fake news before it was cool. This is true. Sailor Moon asks if I have 1 Bitcoin or is that too personal. I do. I have 1.14 Bitcoin or something like that. I hope to get more before it skyrockets. People think this is skyrocketing. This ain't nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'll tell you what. What's up, Josh Graydon? People coming in a little late. Good Lennon song. That's Goodbye Norma Jean. That's Elton John. My Goodbye Ross Perot is just a takeoff. Michael Roth says, so we can put 8 years of Clinton on Mike's shoulders. No, you can put 8 years of Clinton on the deep state who submarined Ross Perot's election. As we've seen from the deep state trying to submarine Donald Trump's election, we now all can believe wholeheartedly that the black helicopters that everyone said, that Ross Perot said came and threatened his daughter, were real. They were real. He was not crazy. The deep state has been at work trying to control this country for a long, long time. And Ross Perot, as Jason Kopenen says, Ross Perot was right. Strange days indeed, indeed, indeed. Josh Graydon says there are no good John Lennon songs. You are so wrong. But this is Cross-Examinations, not Beatles examinations. So why don't we get around to... I want to talk about that Epstein. I kind of do and I kind of don't. It's so disturbing and disgusting. WK says, I recently rewatched the On Wings of Eagles TV miniseries about Perot hiring a team of mercenaries to rescue his employees from Iranian terrorists. Yeah, WK, they should remake that today. Like, with, who would be in it? No. Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt should be in it. Dennis Pruch says, my employees met Ross Perot. I never met him. I never met him either. Never knew the man, but boy, can you imagine the world if Ross Perot had been president for 8 years? We never would have had Clinton. We wouldn't have needed Trump. Not that I don't love Trump. I do love Trump. But yeah, I don't know. Ralph is asking me what my booth is at Comic-Con. I don't have a booth, Ralph. I don't have a booth this year. Bill might have connections to that dude who got arrested. Might have, Sailor Moon. He took the Lolita Express to that island where they had the underage girls prostituting the underage girls, the minors, 14, as young as 14 years old. Bill Clinton was on the flight logs going on that plane with those girls to that island like 24 times. Your boy Bill is either a pedophile himself, or he was, what's the word, complicit in the act. 24 times, 26 times, I think, actually. How do you do that? How do you watch your buddy raping 14-year-olds, statutorily or otherwise, raping 14-year-olds, and then go, never mind going with him a second time, 26 times he did this with that pedophile, which, I mean, hey, I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure, but that makes it pretty damn obvious that he was going there for the same thing, to me. Pretty disgusting. WK says, Dennis Miller on Perot. I would have followed that demented little Tolkien character to hell and back. Yeah. Yeah. Last Crusader says, Epstein had a temple of Moloch on his rape island. I've seen pictures from offshore. It's real. Really? Matthew Lemon says he's a pedo for sure, probably giving them to Hillary to suck their life force out after he used... I know. They're like vampires. Oh my gosh, they're like the vampires in Lone Star. Oh boy. Don't believe what you hear, believe what you see. Well, they've seen the flight logs. They had to have flight logs. Oh, and guess what else he did before he went on these Lolita Express pedophile runs? He ditched the Secret Service. So he went without Secret Service security. So there would be no witnesses to whatever it was he was doing on 14-year-old Rape Island. Why isn't Mike reading my super chats? If I mention Bone Star, will he read them? You super chatted? I don't see a super chat. I'm looking all the way up and down, man. There's no super chats here. More like Lolly Express. Clinton went on Epstein's plane 26 times, including 5 times without Secret Service protection. Epstein secretly recorded all of his guests. Enjoy the entertainment. Yeah. Yep. That's how, you know what? You've got that many powerful people in your pocket because you're blackmailing them. I mean, it's speculation, but it seems to be obvious. Then that's how you, I don't know, do a plea deal when you're guilty of raping dozens, if not hundreds, of children. This dude, I don't know. It might be illegal to say what I want to do to this dude. Oh my gosh. Let's just say the least I would do to that dude is make him Varys. This is one part. Anyways. Let's get to... Which one am I on here? This one? I think I'm on this one. Bible search. Ooh, I'm sorry. Epstein helped found the Clinton Foundation. That's the same Clinton Foundation that stole billions of dollars from Haiti, right? Gee, and I thought Clinton was just a bad president. No, they're evil. They're evil. Matt says, Noriega recorded all the U.S. politicians that visited Panama. The invasion of Panama was to get all those tapes after he went off the party line and thought he was his own man. If I know any better... Shade says, if I know any better, Epstein will be found dead by suicide. 2 to the back. That's so true. Oh my gosh, that's so true. He's gonna need Secret Service protection from the Clintons if he decides to roll over on them. Holy cow. Mike is the most red-pilled member of Comicsgate. Well, I am that I am. What do you think of the Pizzagate conspiracy? Do you think it's real? I suspect it's probably got some layer of truth. I'm not 100% sure, though. Why did you run from Cecil Stream? Seems weak. Well, that's your opinion. Strength of character is not weakness. Stole money from Haiti and paid for his daughter's lavish wedding. Very true, very true. right. Let's at least just get on over and read Ross Perot's sort of obit. This is from ChristianHeadlines.com. Ross Perot, former presidential candidate and renowned patriot, dies at 89. Why is this popping up now? That's extremely annoying. What the heck? What? Go. Oh my gosh. What the heck? Why do we get an ad the second I start trying to read this thing? Alright, so you get a good shot of his head. Ross Perot, former presidential candidate and businessman, died Tuesday morning at the age of 89. According to Dallas News, Perot, acclaimed and renowned patriot, was diagnosed with leukemia in February and tragically lost his battle to the vicious disease Tuesday. With deep sadness, I am letting you know that Mr. Perot passed away early Tuesday at his home, surrounded by his family. James Fuller, the family spokesman, said in a statement. Mr. Perot was a true patriot and a dedicated humanitarian. He will be missed greatly, Fuller added. According to ABC News, Perot first entered public consciousness when he threw in... That's the wrong through, isn't it? It should be like throw. T-R-H-E-W. Through. Threw in his bid for President of the United States in 1992. Perot first ran for president as an independent. He ran against incumbent George H.W. Bush, and Democratic candidate Bill Clinton. Perot garnered 18.9% of the popular vote as an independent, but ultimately lost the election to Clinton. Okay, I just want to clarify here. Before the deep state got involved and sent the black helicopter to his house to threaten his daughter, Perot was at like 34% and he was leading and he was winning. He dropped out because his daughter was threatened. And then he manned back up and said, "Forget this. I'm going all the way in." And then he only got 18.9% in a three-way race. Bill Clinton, by the way, so you guys remember, never got a majority of the vote in this country. Perot should have been president, but the deep state. I'm just so glad the deep state couldn't handle Donald J. Trump. Perot ran for president a second time in 96 under his own party, the Reform Party, which he founded in 95. Again, Perot lost to Clinton. Perot was also a war veteran, a business mogul. And I do want to point of fact here. If they had someone besides Bob Dole, it's my turn to run for president, on the Republican side, then at least the Republican could have won, right? But no, it's Bob Dole. I'm Bob Dole. It's my turn. Viagra. I mean, God bless the man, but you can't just have candidates because it's their turn. It's my turn to be candidate. Anyways, too much. Perot was also a war veteran, a business mogul, and a philanthropist. ABC News reports that Perot served in the Navy early in his life. After leaving the military, Perot made it a part of his mission to help veterans and prisoners of war receive better treatment. Later, he started a career in computer systems at IBM before leaving the company to found his own. In 1962, Perot created his hugely successful information technology and services company, Electronic Data Systems. According to Forbes, at the time of his death, Perot was worth $4.1 billion. I wonder if any of that was in Bitcoin. In the wake of his death, political leaders and influential figures have shared their fondest memories of and adorations for him. New York Times bestselling author Kurt Eichenwald shared on Twitter a childhood memory involving Perot. He wrote, "I knew Ross Perot since I was a child, when he let my friends and I ride our bikes across his estate to save time to school. When tax cuts was the billionaire's mantra, He told me he was happy to pay his lot in taxes because it means I'm doing well. He added, his wisdom will be missed. So Kurt Eichenwald decides to use this moment to be pro-taxes. Senator Ted Cruz shared his heartfelt condolences on Twitter, writing, our hearts are heavy as we bid farewell to Ross Perot. In his 89 years on Earth, he lived the American dream to the fullest. Ross is a Texas legend. He will be remembered as an outstanding entrepreneur, philanthropist, and a dedicated husband and father. He continued, Ross fought for what he believed in, and his national grassroots movement changed politics forever. Heidi and I send heartfelt prayers and condolences to his wife, Margot, and the entire Perot family as they grieve the loss of a loving husband, father, and grandfather. May he rest in peace. How weird that Senator Ted Cruz didn't use this as a moment to get political. Another former presidential candidate, Al Gore, also extended his heartfelt condolences to the Perot family. He wrote, well, I've always had the utmost respect for Ross Perot for his patriotism, love of country, and extraordinary commitment to our veterans. I send my deepest... This is a terrible Al Gore. Deepest condolences to his family and to everyone who loved and admired him. All right, that's an upstanding tweet. Good going, Al Gore. Perot is survived by his wife, Margot, and their 5 children. Ooh, he had 5 kids, too, just like me. I wonder how many grandchildren he had. Jeez. So, yep. There it is. I know some of you are saying that you didn't even remember Ross Perot, but Perot was responsible for giving us Clinton a shudder. Johnny Torch, he wasn't. He wasn't responsible. It was the deep state that was responsible. You can't blame somebody. I mean, he was winning. It was the deep state that wanted... I mean, Bill Clinton, George Herbert Walker Bush. What's the difference? Right? Ross Perot is the only freaking true libertarian conservative person running that year. Both of the other two were big state. One was big state Democrat, one was big state Republican. They were two sides of the same coin. Ross Perot was the only person worthy of voting for that year. Matt says, Perot came up with the name Electronic Data Systems while attending Sunday service. He scribbled it down on the back of a pledge envelope, went public in 1968, became a millionaire, and then a billionaire. Ross should have charged trespassing on Kurt Eichenwald. 92 debates should be on YouTube somewhere. Yes. Oh my gosh. I wonder if there's like... Hold on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to see if they have the old Ross Perot commercials. So, oh gosh, it's too long. All right, I'll do... So Ross Perot, back in the early 90s when he was running... He paid for infomercial time, right? And he did these half an hour long campaign infomercials on how to fix the country. It was brilliant.
Well, the Cold War is ending. Another war is now upon us. In this new war, the enemy is not the red flag of communism, but the red
For Pete's sake.
The red tape of our government bureaucracy. The casualties of this war are counted in lost jobs and lost dreams. As in all wars, the critical issue to winning is leadership. In this election, you can vote for a candidate who has proven his leadership by making the free enterprise system work, creating jobs, building businesses. A candidate who is not a business-as-usual politician, but a business leader with the know-how to expand the tax base, reduce the national debt, and restore the meaning of made in the USA.
Make America great again.
The issue is leadership. The candidate is Ross Perot.
Yeah.
The choice is yours.
And I'm Oh, what's that? I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the deep state, Ross Perot would have been president. I can't go through all these, but if you're interested, let's see this one.
Question is, can we win? Absolutely we can win because it's your country. Question is who do you want in the White House? It's that simple. Now, you got to stop letting these people tell you who to vote for. You got to stop letting these folks in the press tell you you're throwing your vote away. You got to start using your own head.
On November 3rd, don't waste your vote on traditional politicians who promise you everything to get elected. Vote for Ross Perot.
Anyways, you guys got to go back and watch some of these things. They are great. They're great. Yeah. If it wasn't for the deep state. It wasn't for the deep state. I just love that he is what's the word? Justified, I guess. Maybe justified. You know, his all the news that crazy Ross Perot said that there's black helicopters going to his threatening his daughter and family and blah blah blah, and everyone's like, oh, he's crazy, and now we know the deep state is legitimately trying to control. You know, look what they did to Trump. Trump's just exposing them all left and right, and now we know, Ross, the media and the country owes you an apology. You should have been president. Vindicated. Thank you, Matthew Lemons. That is the word I was looking for. Johnny Torch. Perot stopped Perot. He went nuts and dropped out saying the Bushes were trying to stop his daughter's wedding. That's what I'm talking about, dude. It was the deep state. He didn't go nuts. He didn't have 89 years of life of no one ever saying he was nuts or not doing anything nuts, and then this crap happens with his daughter. And I don't think it was even Bush. I think it was deeper than Bush. It was the deep state, and they were coming out, and they got him to drop out of the race. And then he got over his fear, decided the country was more important than these threats, and unfortunately lost about 15% of the support that he had. If he had maintained that 15% support, you would have been calling him President Perot, because he was winning. He was winning. Perot later said that it was Bush's campaign people. Could have, hey, they're all, I don't know. Are they all fungible? All the deep state people, they work in and out of everybody else's campaign. There's probably deep state people in in Bush's campaign and in Clinton's campaign. And again, the deep state, honestly, just maintaining government control rather than what Perot would have done and what our glorious president now is doing. That's exactly what they don't want. They want Bush ran the CIA. That's a good point, Orbital. Trump learned from Perot's run. Yeah. Unkindness of Raven says YouTube is the new infomercial platform, but no one listens. Ross Perot was ahead of his time. Yeah, he was ahead of his time. It was a time when there was no internet. This was before the internet, 1992. And so everybody watched these infomercials. Everybody watched them, and then the news, they didn't have 24-hour cable news. CNN was a thing. This was long before Fox News. Fox News didn't come out till 96, 97, something like that. And so, yeah, Ross Perot. Anyways. P-Money says, man, I'm never getting here on time lately. Work is giving me weird hours. Sorry. Knows me Aguite Pariente says, L. Ron Hubbard talked about the deep state. Then he got black PR bad. Black PR. Oh. Perot winning the election would have blown up politics. We're watching it now. Trump is Perot 2.0. And I'm happy for it. Matthew says, are you voting for Trump in 2020, or is there another candidate that you'd prefer? Heck no. I mean, heck, yes. Yes to the first part, no to the second part. There is no candidate I would prefer to Donald J. Trump to run this country for the next 4 years following this 4 years. I love that man. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Perot wasn't perfect. But I trust Trump to do the right thing. He may not always do the right thing. It's entirely possible. I mean, as president. And he's a fallible man. Just as all of the leaders in the Bible, except for Jesus. All of them fallible men. But, yeah. Anyways, Perot was the gentleman Trump, and perhaps partly why he lost. He only lost because he pulled out. Let me get an exact number. I remember him being 34% in the polls. What was the highest? Oh my gosh. The average of all four polls had Perot at 37%. 37%. Oh, wait. A pre-election poll. The assessment of what impact Perot actually had on his outcome in a three-way matchup nationally in early June. Well, that's June. Perot led 39%. Bush second with 31%. Bill Clinton with 25%. Early polling doesn't really make a difference. But that's what I'm saying is that when this oh, he went crazy thing happened, it was when he was winning in the polls. He was the number one. He was... And, yeah. Oh, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I finally got my billionaire president, so I'm happy now. Let's kind of skip through some of these topics on Christian headlines right now. We've got Donald Trump's approval rating is at a new high. Poll finds. Actually, let's find out how much that is. 44% of Americans now approve of Trump's overall job performance. 5 percentage points increase, 5 since previous poll in April, 44%. It should be 70%. That's where it should be. Because 30% of the people, you're never going to get to do anything right. China. Religious minorities are brought to thought transformation camps. In China. Oh. Why don't you just call them re-education camp? Ah, yeah. Where men and women are re-educated. Christians, Muslims, and other religious minorities are brought to the camps where the government calls re-education. They are given Mandarin lessons and sometimes forced into labor or even tortured. Policeman. A policeman at my village told me to get enrolled in the school and transform my thoughts. Oh, man. What a world. What a world. 2 Canadian cinema owners received death threats for showing Unplanned. Well, you know why? Because Unplanned is pro-life, and those who are against it are pro-death. Persecution of Christians meets definition of genocide. Report for British government says. Oh, that's interesting. British government. A new report prepared for the British government says Christianity is by far the most widely persecuted religion and recommends the government become the worldwide leader in promoting religious liberty. This is from the UK? How grave does this situation have to become before we act? The report says this 176-page report on persecuted Christians was commissioned by Jeremy Hunt, British Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs, and prepared by the RT Reverend Philip Mount Stephen, Bishop of Truro. Retired? I don't know what RT stands for. I guess retired. An interim report was released in May. The final report outlines the problem of the persecution of Christians worldwide before listing recommendations on how to help the universal church. It was released July 4th. It is estimated that 1/3 of the world's population suffers from religious persecution in some form, with Christians being the most persecuted group, the report says, quoting data showing that in 2016 Christians were targeted in 144 countries, an increase from 125 in 2015. In some regions, the report says the level and nature of persecution of Christians is arguably coming close to meeting the international definition of genocide adopted by the United Nations. It references killings by ISIS and Boko Haram. The main impact of such genocidal acts against Christians is internal displacement and exodus. The report says Christianity now faces the possibility of being wiped out in parts of the Middle East, where its roots go back furthest. All right, I'm not going to continue with that. Yeah, and where do they come? Where do they come? I'll tell you where they come. They come here. They come to America. We have such a large Coptic Christian community, Chaldeans here, Chaldeans and Coptic Christians here in, well, no, I don't live in El Cajon, but I'm right next to El Cajon, but huge population there. I wonder if there's more here than there are in the Middle East. What is that? Sorry. Sorry to hear Perot died. I know you were a big fan, Mike. I was. I voted for him twice. I didn't follow him much after that, though. I know the Reform Party, kind of without Perot leading it, was just kind of like limped along. Who was it ran for reform after that? Pat Buchanan, I think. I have some issues with Pat Buchanan, but generally he's a pretty smart guy. In 2024, I'm thinking Ivanka Trump and Ted Nugent. The Nuge, dude, the Nuge run-in for president would blow up politics. Bush orchestrated the Reagan assassination attempt. Oh, I think this is a little black helicopter. They hated each other. Bush was forced on Reagan after the primaries. Bush family is good friends with Hinckley's family. Had dinner with them the night before. Shh, shut the front door. Is that for real? I mean, you guys all know I love a good conspiracy theory. If that's legit, though, that's crazy talk. What is wrong with this thing? I need to know if that's true, man. Because honestly, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Bushes. The Bushies. But they're big. I think the deep state is a fan of them. Alright, let me fix this real quick. Spike in Madness. Shapiro Cecil 2024. Just the thought of Mike voting Cecil would be the most awesome thing. Vote Cecil. Vote often. We will never know for sure. Look at what the polls said on Trump. Yeah. Well, I don't think they had quite the mechanisms for... well, that's the thing. Nobody was embarrassed to vote for Perot. Nobody was embarrassed to say they supported Perot. Because he was really quite popular. And nobody really liked Clinton. And a bunch of people were unhappy with Bush because, read my lips. No new taxes. Just kidding. Yeah, it's funny how one campaign line can ruin your chances of re-election. Sorry, this is a very political episode of Cross-Examinations. Anybody have any Bible questions? Perot was an interesting guy that, in retrospect, could have done a lot of good for the country. There's no excuse for how things are now, from debt to censorship outside of pure corrupt negligence. I know. Can you imagine if he had reset the the sort of the debt structure and the way we spend money with an 8-year, dominance over, 8 years as president, you can do a lot to change things. And we've been diving headlong into debt and deficit for a good long time. I think he could have really pulled that back for a while. But, who knows? Kevin says, C.B. Cebulski was able to pretend to be a Japanese guy to write comics. Could you pretend to be C.B. Cebulski and take over Marvel, Mike? I don't have the makeup. China is the model. Speaking of black helicopters, there was an incident in Miami where black helicopters were flying through downtown. See, now that through is THROUGH. Firing machine guns at each other. There is MSM video reports. Are you serious? Maybe it was a movie. Somebody was filming a movie. I'm voting for Mike as White House press secretary. I can hear him laughing at Democrats now. UK is doomed. What a shock. Canadians not supporting a cinema to air a movie. I know, right? What movie? Oh, that was Unplanned. Is it Unplanned? Is that what it's called? It's the pro-life movie with Dean Cain, I think. Our Perot was Preston Manning. That is in Roger Stone's book. I don't follow. Shut the front door, backside, and deck door. Bushes and Hinckley's grew up together, had the same lawyer, and still dined and did business with each other. Wow. So you think their son... he was in jail until just recently. That's a long stint. You think he could just be trusted to shut up for that long? That's crazy. Or was he just crazy and they kind of pointed him at him? I don't know. Scott Hinckley, brother, had dinner scheduled at Neil Bush's house the day after the assassination. That's not very wise. If they're trying to keep something quiet, it's like... And I practically missed... Sorry, DJ. Sorry. Yes, you can pretend to be CB and sell 50% of Nasser Perot's blood. I went to at 13. He was great. Oh, Turtle Rabbit. Pro was the first political rally I went to at 13. He was great. Last Crusader says, I just looked it up. It was just drills. My bad. Spike and Madness for $5 says, if you see a snake, just kill it. Don't appoint a committee on snakes. Ross Perot, rest in peace. Yeah, he was good, man. He was good. I feel like we should move on to another topic, but everybody wants to talk. Perot. Gosnell. Oh, that's that one. No, it was a different one. Will you do a talk about Tommy Robinson and the downfall of the UK? I don't know. I think Sargon covers that enough. John Hinckley was crazy. He went after Carter first, but the path may have been cleared for him for the Reagan attempt. Interesting. I'm sorry, guys. My throat is like... I don't know. It feels like it's like closing up on me for some reason. I wonder if I ate some walnuts in anything. No, I don't think so. I might have to actually end this a little bit early. Canada would protest a pro-life film. There's zero restrictions on abortion. All right, let me see. Let me see if there's another topic here. Ooh. The whole genocide thing didn't seem to tickle anybody's fancy. Religion around the thought transformation camp. See how we did that. Oh, this is interesting. I haven't read this yet, so bear with me. Netanyahu says new Philistine DNA study affirms that Israel is Jewish land. New DNA research indicating that biblical Philistines originated from Europe bolsters the claim that the land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people, says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Scientists studied the DNA of skeletons from a 3,000-year-old Philistine cemetery and published their findings last week in the Journal of Science Advances. The study showed that the DNA was related to the gene pool of southern Europe. The Philistine cemetery was uncovered in 2016 Ashkelon in southern Israel. 10 of 108 skeletons had sufficient DNA to be used. Netanyahu made his case on Twitter. A new study of DNA recovered from the ancient Philistine site in the Israeli city of Ashkelon confirms what we know from the Bible. The origin of the Philistines is in southern Europe, Netanyahu wrote. Netanyahu then referenced Amos 9:7 and Jeremiah 47:4, which say Philistines came from Caphtor, modern-day Crete, the Greek island in southern Europe. The Bible mentions a place called Caphtor, which is probably modern-day Crete, Netanyahu wrote. There is no connection between the ancient Philistines and the modern Palestinians, whose ancestors came from the Arabian Peninsula to the land of Israel thousands of years later. There's no connection between the ancient Philistines and the modern Palestinians, whose ancestors came from... Well, yeah, obviously. The Bible mentions a place... Netanyahu concluded, the Palestinian connection to the land of Israel is nothing compared to the 4,000-year connection that the Jewish people have had with the land. The word Palestinian is thought to have derived from Philistine, although modern-day Palestinians say they did not originate from that people group. Well, yeah, then they're not disagreeing. The Philistines often warred with biblical Hebrews. Goliath, who was defeated and killed by David, was a Philistine. For more than a century, we have debated the question of where the Philistines came from. Archaeologist Eric Klein told National Geographic in an email, now we have the answer: Southern Europe, and probably more specifically mainland Greece, Crete, or Sardinia. This fits with what had seemed the most likely answer previously, especially judging from the archaeological remains, and so this seems a logical finding. Yeah, I don't really... So what is a New Philistine Jewish land? Well, yeah, I mean, the Arabian Peninsula is it's the place where the modern day Arabs derive, but it's also the same place from which Abraham came. Abraham came from Chaldea. Ur of the Chaldees is where he came from specifically. And so he also came from the Arabian Peninsula. He came to the land of Canaan in a time when the Canaanites were the descendants of Ham, which many people speculate are the descendants, or are the primarily the African nations. But then the Israelites were called to wipe out the Canaanites, remove them from the land, and take over Israel. So you had Arabian, Saudi, essentially, the Chaldees are in Saudi Arabia today. So you would have an Arabic people, which Arabic by genetics, not by anything else, which is where Abram and all the Jews would have descended from. So they do have that similar lineage, but there's no actual genetic connection between the quote-unquote Philistines and the modern and the ancient Philistines, or the quote-unquote Palestinians and the ancient Philistines. There's no actual connection. The Philistines were done away with centuries upon centuries ago. So, take with a huge grain of salt, says Rodwell. I don't know what you're talking about. Perot certainly split the vote. Genocide, there's a good time, jumps and clicks heels. George says, it was too bad Perot was a straight-talking man. Yeah. Perot rescued 2 employees that were arrested in Iran in 1979, and the government wouldn't help Operation Hotfoot. CIA station chief in Dallas in November 1963 was George Bush. George Bush was part of the deep state. I think they were probably happiest of all when he managed to be president. It's like, one of us. Oh, Rodwell means he doesn't trust Netanyahu. Well, he's just reiterating what scientists have already said. This article, this is I don't want to say it's redundant, but that we did the Philistine article last week when the discovery was made. Brand Independent says, there's no such thing as Palestine. There's no such thing as Palestine. There's no such thing as Palestine. Say it with me. There's no such thing as Palestine. Not anymore. Israel was renamed Palestine, or Palestinia, I think, by the Romans after their ancient enemies, the Philistines, in order to give a black eye to Israel, because they had just squashed Israel, right? And so for less than 2,000, about 1,900 years, the land of Israel had been called Palestine. And then in 1948, Palestine became a nation again, and they renamed it Israel. It's Israel, not Palestine. It's Istanbul, not Constantinople. There's nobody going around trying to argue that they're Constantinopolese, right? There's nobody going around in Mumbai trying to say, no, we're Bombay, we're Bombanians. People don't divide when you rename a land. Then the land is renamed. It's Israel. The whole of the land was renamed Israel. I actually met an Arab, a Muslim Arab, who left Israel before what's that guy's name that started all of this garbage with Palestine? Arafat. Before Arafat started using quote unquote Palestinians as the victim, outcast, blah 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 blah. And I met this guy, and he told me he was Israeli. And I was like, oh, I assumed he was a Jew, right? And he's like, no. He's like, I'm a Muslim. It's like, I left before all that stuff happened, but it became Israel. It became Israel. They just changed the name. There was no Palestinian people. That was all Arafat. That was all Yasser Arafat, who wasn't even from there. He was from Egypt. Anyways, I'm sorry. I get all. I'm gonna wrap this up a little bit early. I'm a little drained, and my throat is kind of closing up on me. So, anyways, anybody last question? I know this hasn't been a very Bible-centric episode of Cross Examinations. Just saying goodbye to Ross Perot, and then, I don't know, man. I got nothing. Just kind of a down day, so I'm going to sit down. I'm going to work on the next page of Monster Hunt, and hope everybody has a great day. Deep state examinations. I know, my wife the other day, she's like, what is cross examination supposed to be? Because it was like one episode I was doing too much politics. This is boring, Mike. Yeah, Aaron, give me something to argue about. No, I never met Ross Perot. He at least outlived George W. Bush. Be very careful with how you pronounce Monster Hunt. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Anyways, thanks everybody for being here. Be good. I got nothing. God bless.